All right, it's recording. Welcome to Coming Out with Cannabis with your hosts, Christina DiArcangelo Pooler and Wayne Kelly. Today, we're talking with Ron Millward from balancedveterans.com. So happy to have you today with us, Ron. But first, CDP!
Welcome, folks. This is becoming so much easier. Hopefully, you guys can tell. This is now episode 9. Today, as you guys know, every time we start our show, we always talk about what today is. And today is World Autism Day, which is an important day. You'll notice that my scarf today is like the autism puzzle pieces that autistic kids and parents utilize to represent autism. The color is blue. That is their color for autism specifically. So we're a little more colorful than usual. Right. But that's only because we want to make sure that we acknowledge World Autism Day. And with that, I'm so pleased that we're able to have Ron on the show. He was just on TV yesterday with Lehigh Valley, where he was on a business segment that we shared throughout all of our social medias. So that was the prelude to today's discussion. And again, we're so excited to have you, Ron. There's so many synergies between all of the companies that we work for and your organization. So I'm excited for today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's such an honor to be here. I'm so excited. I've been following along with what you guys are doing. And, all the way back when I got to hear you speak at the Lieutenant Governor's, the speaking tour, I was just like, man, I've got to talk to her. She's just got a fire. So it's an honor for us to be just sitting down and chatting. So thank you guys so much. And the autism, man, that is so beautiful. It's World Autism Day, and man, it's just a beautiful cause.
Absolutely. And we all know somebody who has a child or is affected with autism. So it is very good to, always represent, and like I said, I have my blue blazer on, but I'm also wearing Michigan State because Bruce is our guy. Every time we record, he comes into the office, and Bruce is a Duke fan. So I'm wearing and it's Magic Johnson. Now, of course, this has seen better days, but Michigan State, Bruce. See?
Nice, man. I like the style.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And Ron, I watched the segment this morning, and a great job, and everything that you're doing for the veterans. I applaud your effort. And, my heart breaks for our veterans, our elderly, and the children who are not educated, and whose parents, as far as the children, don't know enough about medical cannabis and how it can benefit them. And I would love for you to share some of your journey, as you did on that segment, as far as how medical cannabis has been able to help you. And I believe the words you shared on the segment was it saved your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a bold statement. But I was going down a really slippery slope with pharmaceuticals. And that's really a go-to for, and here's the thing. Here's a blanket statement that I'd like to put out there before I move forward. Balanced veterans, myself as a person, will always remain on the positive side of the conversation. And so I'm not here to trash organizations or say bad things about people or anything like that. But I was hurt by the Veteran Affairs Office in a sense. And so I did make those statements on television because I do believe that there's a serious problem. Our president signed an executive order a while back to putting in a suicide task force in place. There are 20 to 22 veterans approximately committing suicide a day statistically. That is not okay. I'm not okay with it. I was very, very, very close to becoming one of those statistics. And so I literally know what that feels like, and I've been there, and I don't want anyone to have to sit in that place alone. And so it's a reality. Mental health is real. There are things that we deal with, everybody, whether you use cannabis, you don't, you're a doctor, you're a pastor, you're a whatever you are,
right.
Everyone deals with mental health issues. And so I just want to ensure that our veterans and my friends and my brothers and sisters in our armed forces aren't sitting in those emotions alone. And so that's really what sparked this thing. The journey has been unreal. It's not like one day I woke up and somebody was like, hey, here's a J, smoke this and you're going to feel so much better and you can drop all your medications. That's not how this works at all. It was a really like finding myself path. I mean, I think that you've got to really get to the core of like what you're trying to, what your problems are. And when you can really get in tune with your emotions and really try to sit and process those, I feel like cannabis was that tool for me. So I was able to use cannabis, and that allowed me to sit in my emotions and actually process them. So, you know, this may sound a little odd, but 3 weeks ago, my biological father died. He passed away. And
I'm so sorry to hear that.
So the context of that, thank you guys so much. Context of that is we didn't have a great relationship. He left my mom when we were younger. And so he chose a very different lifestyle and got into running drugs and was in the pagans and things like that. And so popped in and out of my life and, worked through daddy issues, that sort of thing, growing up and trying to understand how to process that. Luckily, I had an amazing stepdad come into my life at a very early age and like helped me become the man that I am today.
That's awesome.
So I'm so grateful for him and everything that he's done. But in that moment, I did not know how to process those emotions. Like, I was like, what the world? Like, what just hit me? Like I had years of questions and what things that I wanted to know and questions that I thought I'd get answered, but cannabis, instead of me just sitting there, like being hysterical or out of control or not knowing how to process it or just going to drink because I didn't want to feel or anything, I felt it. I felt it more than I ever
allowed
could
yourself.
before. I allowed myself to feel it. And I feel like cannabis allowed me to step back, not be hysterical, but actually process my emotions and be like, man, why am I upset?
And
like,
work through them.
Yeah, exactly. And then you work through them. And then at the end of the day, I'm not like, yeah, I'm fine. My dad died. I don't care. But no, it hurts. But I feel like I found my way through it. And I was able to heal as I walked through it. So that helps me put it into perspective a little bit, what my journey was like on a larger scale, coming off of, pharmaceuticals for mental health things and stuff like that. It was, you feel like a zombie when you're on
Thank
all that stuff.
Thank you. I was just going to say that.
You literally are just, I was not myself. I couldn't think. I couldn't feel. I couldn't understand when people were talking to me. And so that was just not a way to live.
You were numb. You were just
I was numb. Exactly.
You were a
so you know what? It did its job. The VA did
body.
their job. They numbed me, right? They put a Band-Aid on it, essentially. But that's not healing. That's not getting to the core issue of it.
It's not dealing with the underlying. And this is one of the things that I'm glad you brought this up, because this is one of the things I often bring up about mental health and also opiate utilization and abuse. What is the key? What is the problem? What's the underlying issue that's causing these people to abuse opiates? There's an underlying problem, and that underlying problem never gets treated. And then that's why we have what we have going on with the overdoses and the suicides and all these things that are happening as a result of opiate overdose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's become a crisis. I mean, it hits my family very close to home.
Well, we're still in it. We're in a there was a report that just came out 2 weeks ago. Pennsylvania's number 3 in the country.
Yeah. Number 3, yeah.
Number 3, and we have the MMJ program. And so let's just talk about that for a minute. Why do we think we're still number 3? Is it because of the price issues with medical cannabis in Pennsylvania, meaning that people who live in assisted income type environments or low level income, or people in general, it's expensive. It is expensive.
Oh yeah. Without calling anybody out, I mean, absolutely. It's unacceptably expensive.
Means that we're still not successful.
Yeah,
I mean, you see all the comments that are being made by these patients that are a part of this program, all 3 of us are part of this program. What's their number 1 complaint? Price.
Yep.
Number
Absolutely.
2, availability.
Not in stock.
Those are the 2 problems.
No, yeah, it's and I hate to say it, but man, the black market's booming. So
it is,
it's
because
just got
people revert to the black market. Look, I'm leaning up in my chair now, so you know.
Yeah, you're fired up. I feel.
Oh, they have to, because that's where they can afford their medication.
Right. Exactly. And that's what it is. But that's not safe.
No,
I
it's
don't
not.
like it. I don't like it at all. I mean,
No,
let's just open this up and allow people to get the medicine that they need.
Exactly.
Home grow needs to happen. I'm sorry, man.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. Absolutely.
I mean, some of these veterans that could just grow it in their garden and just for themselves, you know,
for their own personal consumption.
For their own personal consumption.
As long as they only grow enough for themselves, then they're not distributing.
You wouldn't need to. Nobody's going to at that point.
So then, you know what I'm saying? What's the problem?
Buy it cheaper. It is a problem.
It's ridiculous.
We were very hopeful. So the National Cannabis Lobbying Day with Pittsburgh NORML, Lehigh Valley NORML, Philly NORML, all those guys, that was a little while ago. We were up there. It was awesome, man. We got to sit in with some of these senators, and there are some amazing bills that are going to be pushing. And you know, a lot of talks and things, and I'm sure you're well in on these conversations. You were just in DC and things like that, so you know. But I'm really excited that they sat down and chatted with some veterans, man. I mean, they listened to us. They you know, they were receptive to what we were saying, and so the door's not closed.
No
one up there. I think now that everyone up there understands, and by up there I mean up to the capital of Pennsylvania, I believe they all understand that this really does work, that this really does help and heal people. And so whether you're for it or you're not, I think they all get that. And so now it's just part of, it's all about educating.
Right.
And so, you know, there's a way to go about educating people. And so you've got to stay on the positive side of it. You got to stay away from the negativity when you're going up to the Capitol to inform and to educate our people on what's next.
All right. Well, you know, I'm going to say it, Wayne. Bruce is probably kicking you under the table. And I completely agree with you on this point. And one of the things that we've talked about before is there's a way to convince others that medical cannabis is truly a medicinal benefit to patients on various levels, right? Sure. I'm not going to make false claims because I don't want a 483 from the FDA.
No one wants that.
They sent one to Kim Kardashian when she was pregnant with her second child because she tweeted that a medicine she was taking for her nausea, she was actually using off-label when she was pregnant with Saint. And she tweeted it, and the FDA got wind of it, that it helped her with her nausea. And it wasn't, you know, it's not marketed for that or approved. And so she got a warning. You know, so we have to be careful with stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, where I was getting to was that we have to do it in a proper way. Like, I understand there's two sides here. There's the recreational side and there's the medicinal side. And we happen to swing on the medicinal side, the majority of us. But the recreational folks have to step it up a little bit. You know, it's great that you have your recreational pastime of smoking cannabis, but showing up with a bong on the steps of our Capitol, or God forbid DC, just because it's a recreational, part of the country, it's just not acceptable.
That's not the way to do it.
No, it makes it harder.
You're not going to get anywhere doing that. I mean,
right.
They already believe, you know, I think that they just want some education. So it's not
right.
Let's not punch them in the throat with it. It's like, we're not trying to get them a contact high as they walk out of the Capitol. Like, the whole point is education, you know? And so,
and with that is what? That's clinical research. It's doing an educational event. Like, we're going to be participating in April 11th.
Yeah, next week. I have it written down here. We'll talk about that.
With
Allentown Brew Works, High Gravity Lounge.
Yeah. So we're all going to be there.
Devin and that's is an awesome guy. I love Devin.
Yeah, love Devin.
It's going to be a good time.
He's fantastic. He is definitely the hub to Pennsylvania medical cannabis. You know, he truly is. I mean, we're going to
running that app, and their page is blowing up, man. It's really, really cool. I love what they're doing. Devin's been a really, really good friend of mine.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
We're going to have him on our show in probably a couple weeks. We talk. I think he and I actually talk probably every other day.
I love it.
On Instagram.
Yeah, of course. It's where the magic happens, man. The DMs.
Yeah, or
that's what we were talking about.
Our boy Bruce, he gets the message and then tells me to make sure I respond. But yeah, he's fantastic. But like educational events like PACC does, our nonprofit Affinity Patient Advocacy does, what you guys do. We've been talking about doing events with you guys and other nonprofits. I think informing people in the proper manner with education and facts, not fallacies, is the way that this is going to move. I mean, when I was down in DC last Wednesday, we talked about this very issue about how are we going to educate who is the patient population we're looking at. Obviously, veterans came up, the pediatric population, the elderly population, and then you guys know my favorite to always stand up for are the laborers, because that's what we've built this country on, the back of laborers. That's how we all came around. We wouldn't be sitting in these chairs if it wasn't for the laborers.
Absolutely.
And we forget about them. And we forget about the fact that they're given opiates, just like the veterans. Here's a handful of opiates. You hurt your back. Oh, don't worry. Here's some opiates. Don't worry about driving high and running into a school bus with 15 children. I mean, that's the
here's
reality
another
of
one.
it.
Oh, you have an adverse effect from that? Here's something else to help with that.
Yeah, by the end of the day, you're just
drug
compounding and combating other symptoms that these medicines are creating. It's just a vicious cycle, and I watch too many people just slumber into that.
We're all in this for many reasons, and me personally, I lost 3 people to the opioid epidemic. Personally, just here in Pennsylvania. 2 very young people who used to go on vacation with my daughters and myself as a family, and then my first cousin. And so that's really what I'm doing here, and I hope that, whatever I can do to assist in your group, what we're doing, creating solutions to help everybody involved, that's really my effort. And I was going to mention this earlier, Ron, before when you were talking about, we were talking about suicide and, the mental capacity of some folks. Today is my daughter's birthday, so I want to give her a shout out.
Hey, happy birthday.
Her name is Alicia. She's 30 years old today.
Wow.
Makes me feel old. But the reason I bring that up is because she works for the suicide hotline in Denver, Colorado.
Wow.
And always taking those tough shifts and taking those tough phone calls, sometimes being that last person that, someone is reaching out to for help, and like you were saying, Ron, we can just do so much better for our veterans, for everybody, who is at that point in their life.
Hey, sincerely, please give her a thank you from me. I have called that line personally, and so I'm grateful for those people that are able to just be a voice of reason sometimes in a really, really dark time. It's special. Suicide is close to me. I've lost friends and brothers, and so I'm right there with you, man. I'm so excited to partner and just work with you guys from here on out. It's amazing to watch you guys, and I think we're together. Why are we all doing this separately?
We're stronger together.
Right.
What the world are we doing? Like, we're all grinding super hard. We're all hustlers, and I think we need to just join forces and make this happen together.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's great.
It is, and we could go on, and I think we're at a place in the conversation where our heart is just melded, it's kind of melded together, as far as our conversation, our pre-conversation before we started recording, I think we felt that same kindred spirit that you don't find with many folks.
Right.
And Ron, I do look forward to working with you in an ongoing effort as we continue to do the same thing, but in different offices.
Yes, sir.
But I did get my reminder from Alexa to wrap it up. So, Christina, do you want to take us out of here?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ron, for joining us today. It was another enlightening chat that we've had on today with Coming Out with Cannabis. We hope that people are continuing to learn about new things that we're learning about, and we're also trying to deliver as a message. I have to say, on Saturday, I happened to stop into my uncle's butcher shop, and of course you have to have a butcher in the family if you're a paisan, like that's just the way it is. And I was talking
coming over for dinner.
Yeah. Oh, you can come anytime.
We're going to work that out, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
and I know how to barbecue on the Weber. Like I've got this.
Oh,
down
nice! I got a smoker
not
out
Sir
back
Fuller.
too. Let's get this thing going.
Yeah, it's not
I
my
think
husband.
so.
It's me that does it.
Nice.
So I'm bringing this up only because, as we're closing, is that I ran into a customer of his that watched our show, and I haven't even shared this with Wayne, but she somehow found our show. She was an elderly woman, and she said to me that she thoroughly enjoys our show. So
Oh
I
my
was
goodness.
like, this is
That's
fantastic, you
That
know?
is fun. That
Like
is
if,
great.
if we could
Awesome.
just make a difference in one person's
That's
life,
all that matters, man.
that's all that matters. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who it is. It's just we're here to help. And I
Look.
think that's the consensus on all three of us here today.
I believe
Man,
so.
you see it. You see the people that are chasing the money. This is not about the money. This
No,
is
it's
about
not
the
a money
people. This
train.
is about healing people and helping them find a different path
Education,
forward.
empowerment.
Education. Yeah, it's that. Look, man, you guys are great people. This was such an honor to be on. And I mean, just
Thank
Not
you.
at
the
have
conversation was so fun. I don't want it to end.
It was a load of fun. We'll have to do it again.
Well, and
Yeah,
stay on the
man,
line
we-
after.
That whole
We're gonna-
pre-conversation too, man. We put that up. It was fun.
But we're going to stop the recording. Make sure you don't hang up, and we'll have a little follow up afterwards. All right, Ron.
Great.
And I do have Bruce in my ear. Okay, Bruce. All right, one more thing, Bruce.
Yo, and go Fire.
Michigan
Thank you
State.
guys. Fire shirt.
That's right.
Yeah,
Swag, baby,
we'll
swag.
take a couple of those.
Yeah,
That's
exactly. Yo, I'm gonna connect you guys, man. Go Fire.
Michigan
That's
State,
where
let's
it's at.
dance.
Yeah. World
All right.
Autism Day today. Don't
Yeah.
forget.
That's right. Wear your
Talk
blue.
to y'all
So important.
soon.
Take
Be
care.
well.
Have a green day.